Good morning. I am Megan, a peer support leader with Canadian Mental Health, and I am here with Rob Montgomery. Rob has taken our peer support training. He is a peer support volunteer with Canadian Mental Health, and he is also the leader of the outreach program at the Refuge here in Woodstock. So we are getting together today. Rob has been running a group that we used to run called Wecovery. He has taken some of the stuff from that group in order to reach out to people during COVID-19 because of the restrictions of meetings and buildings and things. And he's been able to use the space at the Trumpet of Truth in order to continue to support people with addictions. So welcome, Rob.
Hi, good morning.
So you have been running this group now for how many weeks? I think like 8.
Yeah, I think it's been about 8 weeks. I think the initial program is a 7-week program. I've added a little bit to it. It draws out a little longer. Yeah.
And how has it been going so far?
It's been really great. There's been different people come in even after the fact. I know once you get started, you kind of want to stick with the same group, but there was interest, and I thought being the first time running it here that I would just draw them in and get see what they respond to the most and try and hit on those areas. So it's been going, it went really well. We've had a lot of good response, a lot of good feedback. Even through each individual sharing their own feelings about where they've been and how these things may help them or have helped them.
Yes, and I understand you've had quite a few people coming in and engaging in the group, and I've had some amazing feedback from individuals who have come to the group to tell me just how much they love going to group and how helpful it's been for them. People who are now thinking about treatment and thinking about, taking that next step to the freedom of addictions. And I think that that's amazing, the work that you're doing. And I wanted to say thank you. And thank you for being able to support us with that piece as well through COVID. We do have clinicians that deal with concurrent disorders and things. But we do not have a peer who specializes in addictions at this moment. She's on maternity leave. So it's been really good that you've been able to fill this void for individuals who visit you only, because you do have people who come there that you are able to introduce to our services, but people that come to our office and that we can introduce and direct your way as well.
Right.
Yeah. So I was just going to ask you a few questions. And the first one was, what are some of the causes of addiction?
So one of the things that I'm noticing, there's definitely poor coping skills for dealing with emotional pain stemming back from trauma. I'm noticing trauma from some individuals were speaking about trauma that happened when they were a kid. And it's just, everything in life just kind of reaffirmed, and they started to believe lies, believing those lies that, they're unlovable and things like that. There's so many. There was a lot of good response to when I actually asked that question, what is addiction to them? There's also a thing with negative thinking, anxieties, depression was a big one. Depression seems to be a big one. Some of us may have grown up, I know even with myself, in environments of addiction. It was a learned behavior. It was a learned behavior to cope with whatever was going on in that moment even. So that seems to be, there's many other ones. There's other reasons, but those are some of the biggest ones that I've noticed.
Nice. And it's nice that people are able to talk about what some of those causes are, right? So often the stigma of addictions is choice. And as you and I both know, it's not a choice. It's It's something that individuals have used as a coping strategy for events that have happened to them or learned behavior. And it becomes a disease and something that's very difficult to overcome.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some of the key points that you address in the recovery group?
So one of the first ones was, what is recovery? And so I asked individuals, what is recovery to you? What does it mean? Um, and it was a lot about change. There's a lot about change, about changing our mindsets towards improving health, wellness. Uh, some people say, well, if I just had a home, things would be better. I'm like, yeah, but you would still be the same person in a home with that struggle, right? And so we look at one of the key points was, how do we get a better quality of life? Um, in that recovery takes time and work, so it just doesn't happen. We actually, if change takes action. So
Yes.
without action, we know that one thing. If we expect change and do nothing, it's insanity, right? Um,
Hmm.
so we also look at so one of the key points. I'm just reading my notes to make sure I don't miss anything. Um, one of the major ones was fear. We look at fear, shame, guilt, unforgiveness. Unforgiveness was a big one because of pain that was caused to us. We can't forgive it. We stay stuck. Um, that's a real big one. Many people say, like, yeah, no, that's me. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. So I'm not a counselor, but leading them to direct them to CMHA. So those are trying to keep a mental note of who's doing what. So I try and write things down to direct them to these to the other organizations that can help them. What was some of the other ones? I think there was, yeah, our thought life. One of the major ones. This is where I could find change. This is something, some tools that I use as well. Our thought life. Our thought life. What are we staying in? What are we staying stuck in? What are our thoughts on negativity? I think we talked about negative thinking before. It really hinders a lot of us to remain where we're at.
That's a very difficult thing, is to change that negativity into
Right,
positivity, especially when you've been surrounded by negativity.
right.
When you're living a life where everything seems to go wrong, and you have a really hard time picking out things to be grateful for. And I can imagine being homeless would be
Yes.
one of those things, right?
Yeah, so that's, some of the treatment programs, like the group is good tools, and it builds something in them to want to go further.
Mhm.
So when they go into the treatment, like the treatment centers that I've partnered with anyway, or we've partnered with here, uh, they also look at reintegrating them back into society.
Yeah.
We look at doing skills, learning more just skills in how to live. Um, and then they look at reconnection to families, having a home, having a job prior to leaving the program, so that they're stable when they get out. Um, all of these things led me to made me think about, okay, when I went through treatment and the experience I had to go through, what worked. And one of the things I was looking at was the mind. Found this study is how the mind works and how we can change our thought pattern from negative to positive by detoxing our brain.
Oh, wow. That sounds really interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that works?
So there's a neuroscientist. Her name is Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's been a neuroscientist for over 30 years, studying the brain. Neuroplasticity is one of the things that she talks about, our brain being neuroplasticity, neuro being brain, plasticity being able to change. And that's one of the things that I try and integrate into the program is you have the ability to change your mind, because some of us think, man, these thoughts don't stop coming. I can't get out of this. I just can't change. But it's not true. uh, I actually used this study, and I even still use it to change my thought process, because there's times when, let's face it, sometimes I'm having a bad day. I need to change that negative thinking into positive. Um, she does on this. Dr. Caroline Leaf does a study of detoxing the brain. It takes 21 days, 7 minutes a day for 21 days. So what you're doing is taking negative thoughts and you're breaking down. It's actually, she talks about it being a habit. So how I kind of describe it is, in your brain you have pathways.
Mhm.
So it's like a farmer going from his house to his barn every day. He creates a pathway. So all the grass that comes out and there's dirt there, and it creates a pathway. So that's like a bad habit. So I use that as a bad habit. If you start going a different way, what happens to the grass where that pathway is? It starts to grow back in.
Mhm.
Talking about negative thinking causes people, some doctors will say, oh, there's holes in the brain. There's not actually holes there. She describes it as gray matter. It's negativity. This is one of her major studies is on that negativity, changing it into positive thinking. You actually create a new habit. So if you look
Nice.
at, yeah, you take one specific thing for 7 minutes a day for 21 days, and then you'll find okay, that new thought, it became a habit. So everything,
Yeah.
yeah. So she talks about the things in the non-conscious coming into the conscious. Everything we ever learn in our life is stored up.
Mhm.
So something
Yeah.
triggers old habits, and so you need to break them off, right? And that's one of the things that we go into. And there's a 4-video series where she does the teaching, and then I just ask questions after.
That's really interesting. And I feel like that's something that even if you didn't have or you weren't struggling with addictions, that could be something that's very helpful, even if it's just that you're not just that, but that you're struggling with depression or anxiety or anything else in your life.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't have to have addictions in order to be able to repattern your brain and learn new habits, right? And that would be really helpful.
Mhm.
Does she have an online videos like
She does.
streaming?
So it'd be, I think on YouTube, you can actually find it. Dr. Caroline Leaf. It's called Detoxing the Brain. It's a 4-part series.
I'm just wondering if I can put that in the comments underneath our video if anybody would like to check into that. Do you have a way for people to contact you or hours that you work or anything like that if they're looking to connect?
Sure. So we're open at the Refuge from Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. I'm not actually here on Mondays right now, but I'm here Tuesday to Friday, 8 to 4. Um, I do meetings. Sometimes I'll meet with people, just do some peer support in the afternoon. In the afternoons, it's not as busy.
Okay.
Uh, they're able to come in, and right now we're using 2 floors to keep social distancing. Even in the groups, I just go to a bigger room and keep everybody farther apart. We were deemed as a day shelter, so that was where public health, they've been in here, so everything is done by the book. If anybody worries about that, that is, we offer cleanliness and hand cleaning. Everybody washes their hands when they come in, those kinds of things. But so that you're able to come in and have breakfast and lunch every day. Group is on Fridays. When that starts back up, I will get you, I believe it may be 2 weeks when I start back up.
Okay.
And it'll be 1:30 to 3:30 on Fridays.
Perfect. Um, so what is the address there then? If they wanted to connect with you, they just drop in anytime? How does that work?
So they can come, it's 425 Dundas. They're able, if somebody needs to contact me personally, I guess you guys have my number.
Okay.
I'm okay with that as well.
Okay.
Monday to Friday. So I don't answer the phone on the weekends, but Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, I answer the phone. But I do check my messages. If it's in an emergency, I will get back to the person if they're
Okay.
struggling.
Amazing. Well, thank you for joining me today, Rob. This has been a great conversation that we've had, and given me, I had some idea of what you were doing, but not an in-depth idea. So it has been great to find out a little more about what is happening there. And I just wanted to take some time to thank you. Thank you for being part of our peer support volunteer team, for reaching out to us, because you came and found us, and I really appreciate it. You've done a lot of amazing work, a lot of great outreach on the streets, and I know that people truly respect you, and we are so thankful that you are part of our team.
Thank you. It's actually, I really enjoy being a part of that. I think there's a lot of growth out of that, even for myself, because I'm continuously learning. You guys teach me so many things. I know I have come with questions, and I definitely get good answers. So I appreciate all of you as well.
Well, great. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a
Okay,
great day.
you too. See ya.